On my 40th birthday, I had a boys' trip on the ship down in Costa Rica, and it was the beginning of this mission. Trip was like, how can I help?
As we were drinking bourbon, we watched the bourbon slosh back and forth in the bottle. So I had an idea, let's put the barrels on your ship. Chris didn't think that was such a good idea at the beginning, but the more he drank, the more he thought,
said, let's make ocean bourbon.
Most people flee when they see a great white, but not the Ocearch team. The nonprofit group intentionally catches sharks in order to tag and track them for research. But there's some surprising cargo on board their ship, 4 barrels of Jefferson's bourbon, which is maturing while out at sea. The unlikely duo represents their one-of-a-kind mission, aging bourbon while saving sharks.
If you live on the East Coast and you spent any time in the water, you've swam with white sharks. It's just that they're not interested in us. The reason we're studying sharks is because they are the balance keepers of the ocean. They are the lion, they are the wolf. As they go, the system goes. We lose 250,000 sharks a day, up to 100 million sharks a year, primarily for shark fin soup in China. It goes through Hong Kong. For the first time, we've been able to discover where and when these large sharks are mating, so we can help them succeed at the mating site. Then we track those large females to where they give birth and identify the birthing site. Then we move into those areas, we tag those baby sharks, they define the nursery for us. If you can help the sharks succeed in the nursery, then we get lots of big sharks to keep the ocean in balance for us. We're both Kentucky boys. It's like the climactic trifecta. If you can pull off making business, having fun, and doing good, what a ride. It's way better than just making money.
when I told my dad I was putting barrels on a ship, he kind of laughed at me like, what, you want to go follow the boat and go to great places and taste it? I said, you're exactly right. People thought it was a marketing gimmick, and I always say, try it, tell me what you think. And there's no question, totally different products from aging in Kentucky and then aging out on a ship. Today what we do is we take 8-year-old bourbon that's distilled and aged in Kentucky, and we put it on ships. It goes to 30 different ports on 5 different continents, crosses the equator 4 times. We've got 180 barrels on the ocean at all times. So I am looking back at history to kind of push what bourbon can be. My dad is a bourbon historian and has kind of written a book on bourbon in Kentucky. My 8th-generation grandmother was arrested in 1799 for moonshining and bootlegging. She's the first woman accredited to being in the American whiskey business. I'm trying to stay true to the tradition of what bourbon is. Originally, when bourbon was brought from Kentucky to the populace of America, it went through the Ohio River to the Mississippi River, to New Orleans, where it was either offloaded and served there or put on ships and sailed around the Straits of Florida, up the East Coast, back to where the population of the United States was. And it was that journey that transformed the bourbon significantly. And in my mind, that's why bourbon blew up in Kentucky. It's not the water or the climate that's there, it's the journey that it took originally. I didn't realize exactly what was going to happen at first when we put it on here. It's forcing the maturation process to happen. It picks up the color from the wood. It picks up all those flavors that you're going to get out of the wood. Salt air is breathed in by the barrel, so you get a salty taste to it. And then when it's out into really hot weather, so when we cross the equator, the sugars inside the wood caramelize. Some people say it tastes like salted caramel popcorn. Chris has a very unique model here. He's not looking for universities to give him grants. He's having companies help sponsor the work that he's doing.
These companies know that nobody's going to go out on their boat on the ocean where many of their products are used if there's not a lot of fish to see. They need an abundant ocean to have a future market. And so when you find those companies and you can create an enterprise that delivers value to them, they can fund the fundamental exploration and science to create the data necessary to move us all in the direction where they will have a market that is robust.
So we're able to do good together and make a profit together.